Mr. DIY Group is said to be in talks with Aberdeen Standard Investments and BlackRock Inc. to become cornerstone investors in its IPO. Citing people with knowledge on the matter, Bloomberg reported AIA Group is also in discussions to take a stake in the first-time share sale. The news agency said the company is planning to file an official prospectus as soon as next week and has set the IPO price at RM1.60 each. It said the offering could raise about 1.5 billion ringgit. The home improvement retailer reportedly plans to formally confirm the cornerstone investors as soon as the end of the week. Mr. DIY has witnessed a V-shaped recovery from the pandemic-induced MCO that had hit retailers. At 1.8 billion ringgit, the listing of Credo-backed Mr. DIY would be the biggest IPO in Malaysia since Lotte Chemical Titan Holding raised 3.77 billion ringgit in 2017. According to Mr. DIY, it operates 640 stores across Malaysia and 4 stores in Brunei under the Mr. DIY brand as at September 6th. It also operates the Mr. Toy chain of stores offering affordable toys and products for children and babies, and Mr. Dollar, which sells F&B and household goods. FGV Holdings says it is disappointed after the US decided to ban imports of its palm oil and vowed today to clear its name. On Wednesday, the US Customs and Border Protection directed the issuance of a withhold release order against FGV's products over allegations of labor abuses, including deception, excessive overtime, and sexual violence. In response, FGV said the allegations have been the subject of public discourse since 2015 and that it has taken several concrete steps to correct the situation. The group said it is currently implementing a long-term and comprehensive action plan under its affiliation to the Fair Labour Association. The plan comprises several initiatives to further strengthen various aspects of labour practices. And contrary to the allegations, FGV said it is not involved in any recruitment or employment of refugees. It said it does not retain its workers' passports and has, over the past 3 years, invested about 350 million ringgit to upgrade housing facilities for its workers. FGV added it has been communicating with the US Customs since August 2019 and that it has submitted evidence of compliance with labour standards. It pledged to continue engaging with the agency. FGV's shares fell 8.7% today to close at RM1.05. Former PM Datuk Sri Najib Razak's appeal against his conviction in the SRC International trial will commence on February 15th next year. The Court of Appeals set February 15th to 18th, 20th to 25th, and March 1st to 4th for the court to hear Najib's entire appeal. It also set November 4th this year for case management. On July 28th, the KL High Court found Najib guilty of abuse of power and misappropriating over 4 million ringgit from SRC. He was sentenced to 12 years in jail and a fine of 210 million ringgit for one count of abuse of power and 10 years jail on each of his 3 criminal breach of trust charges and each of his 3 money laundering charges. However, the judge ordered the sentences to run concurrently. Meanwhile, the prosecution failed to file its petition to appeal against the sentencing within a specified 10-day duration. A source close to the matter said the prosecution could have applied for a time extension after the 10-day duration, but they did not, which meant that the appeal had lapsed. The source said because of this, the appeal for heavier sentences was deemed to have been withdrawn. It was reported by the agemarkets.com last week that the Attorney General's chambers could not be immediately reached for comment on the matter. The Federal Territories Ministry will be issuing a request for proposals for the Putrajaya monorail project in the next 3 months at the latest. According to Bernama, FD Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said several companies have expressed their desire to develop the project and some have made presentations to the Ministry Secretary General Datuk Rosida Jaafar. Among the proposed concepts are a tram and rubber-tired monorail, he said, adding that the actual cost of the project has yet to be established. The minister said it would be up to the private sector to come up with their own proposals. In April, Putrajaya Corporation confirmed that the Putrajaya monorail project would be continued after being postponed since 2004. There were reportedly 2 lines in the original plan, a 12 km line with 17 stations and a 6 km line with 6 stations. Anwar said the alignment of the monorail has been decided based on the basic infrastructure such as tunnel and bridge, which had been constructed before the project was shelved. MACC Chief Commissioner Datuk Sri Azam Baki says corruption in government procurements is increasingly critical, with 50% of such cases involving public agencies. Quoting Azam, Bernama reports that based on the anti-graft agency's analysis, such wastages are common in the public sector, where the agency's top leadership who wield power in government procurements are involved in misappropriation and abuse of power. Azam told the Newswire that a concern about graft in public procurement is also the resultant erosion of quality of a project, citing as an example the shoddy execution of a road upgrading project in Sarawak. Anti-graft officers are now looking into false claims linked to the 800 million ringgit project which was awarded by the Defence Ministry. Azam also reportedly said that while the MACC has received reports involving the private sector, the number was not as worrying as that in the public sector.